Tonight on The Big Picture, we got a lot of ground to cover and know what's on many of your minds. The horrible tragedy that's happened in Hawaii, the fires. A lot of stories going around. What's going on there? What was the cause of these fires? What is happening with the government already coming in trying to seize property? Eminent domain. A lot of rumors going around. The war rumors are still working. Ukraine, China. Now we're seeing things escalating in other parts of the world. And of course, we have an AI update. Once again, going to another level, blowing our mind. It's about to take over the world. You're on The Big Picture Live, and we're going to cover that and more right after this. All right, here we go, Sandy. Come on in.
All right.
The crowd's going wild.
Great to be back.
It's like, it literally feels like it was yesterday that we did this. I mean, time is flying. It is speeding up.
Yes.
It is crazy. It's like my mind is about to explode.
We had a power-packed weekend here, lots of things going on.
Yes.
So I think that helps to feel like time is speeding up. But yeah, in general, it just feels like it's speeding up too.
Yeah. We had a conference here at our church, a men's conference.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of people come from out of state that said they watched this show, and that, surprisingly, I just came from a conference in North Carolina, and people were coming up to me. They're going, "Hey, man, I watch The Big Picture all the time." That just blows my mind to think about that. That people,
great.
I didn't even know it. One guy that I met at the conference in North Carolina drove from Virginia to be at the men's conference here because of this show. So that's just incredible.
It is. It's really
incredible.
great.
So here we go, Sandy. TGIM.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
Monday.
I need to say TGIN. Thank God. It's news.
No, it's Monday. We're excited.
I know. It's
Everybody
a Monday.
hates Monday, but not on The Big Picture.
No.
We love Mondays.
Not when you get to spend the evening with us.
You guess right.
For at least 2 hours.
Yes.
Maybe more.
No. I rebuke you right now in the name of Jesus.
Oh.
Well, maybe. So tonight, we're going to go right into the news tonight. Shelters overwhelmed in Maui as death toll reaches 96. Some people believe it's already over 100. Sandy, the article goes on to say that thousands are still missing. Over 1,000
Right.
is still unaccounted for. It's
What is it?
horrible.
Over 4,000 people were needing shelter.
Yes.
I read in one article.
So we're going to cover this extensively to start off the program tonight, and we're going to show you a couple different news articles and angles of what we need to discuss. But let's read this. Shelters are overwhelmed in Maui as recovery efforts are underway following Hawaii's devastating fires, which have claimed the lives at the time of this writing earlier today, 96 individuals. FEMA is there with their canines, which are in search and recovery mode, which he said will be a lengthy and painful process. So just brace yourself for that. I mean, I'm just being already overwhelmed by this because this is breaking my heart.
Yes.
The county is working with Lahaina Town and the National Guard to try to secure the perimeter so that the vehicular access can be restored to all of West Maui. Now, we're going to play a couple of different video clips here, and I want to apologize in advance if there's something slips out. I think I know the ones that have some bad words in it, but if something slips out, just roll with it. Let's see what we got sound here. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hang on.
What?
This one maybe, I think this might be the one that's littered with a lot of language. You'll know within seconds.
Well, let's just go ahead and mute it.
Okay.
That way we just look at the images. That way we know. So these are images that people take with their phone. Look at this. It said it was spreading. I forgot how many miles.
At a rate of.
What was it?
I don't know, but I know it was a very fast
per
rate.
minute. It was like a mile a minute, something to that effect. That there was just no way to get out of its way, and it's just incredible because you're not talking about. It would be hard to get out of the way of that in any place, but if you're on an island, there's only so far you can go, and people were jumping into the ocean, getting out of their cars and jumping into the ocean.
This was due to the speed at which it moved due to hurricane winds.
Yeah, we're going to get into the cause in a minute. But right now I want to talk about just the tragedy of it. And then we've got another article that we're going to talk about.
Can you imagine seeing that?
So shelters are overwhelmed. So housing is our highest priority, he goes on to say. These are some sites of some volunteers that are stressed out completely. But I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you this next article here. What you need to know about. Let me close this one out. You need to know about Hawaii's catastrophic wildfires. And this is one we'll just sort of talk about where you were going there. Look at that land, that aerial view.
Yeah, that reminds me of something.
Yeah, it does. It does. Authorities in Hawaii are still searching for survivors of this week's destructive wildfires, which killed at least 96, as we have said. Look at there, the big picture. Everybody wants to know what the big picture of something is, and I'm not trying to be funny here, but the truth is we need to know the big picture.
Yes, we do.
The fires, listen to it, are the deadliest in the United States in over a century, surpassing the previous greatest, which was in 2018, the horrible tragedy at the campfire that killed 85.
Well, that's where my mind was going.
Yeah. Okay. So it said it had destroyed the most historic town of Lahaina, was the largest natural disaster in our history. And I don't know if you can read that there, but I can read it from my monitor. This was one of the guys that was in the shelter. He said, we thought maybe a few buildings were on fire, maybe a few more buildings are on fire, but every single piece of lawn, every house, every tree, every single thing, all the way to the ocean, all the way down, was on fire. Comments?
If you were there, I would think that it had to look and feel like an apocalyptic event.
Yes.
Not only just that, the heat. Just the heat from the fire must have been absolutely scary. And sure, your everything within you is telling you run for your life, which many people did. Yeah. Some probably weren't able to. Others thought, well, we'll move along, we'll get out of this, we'll outrun it. And many died in their cars, or bodies are on the street. Maybe they were trying to walk, run, or get out of their vehicle.
Well, look, just a warning. Some of the things we're going to say is going to be hard to hear, and some of the things you're going to see is going to be hard to see. But that's why we call it the big picture, because you need to know the truth. I heard today that they've only been able to identify the remains of 3 people because the bodies are so burned that when they pick them up, they're disintegrating. And they were burned so intense that they're having a hard time.
Can you use only dental, or is even dental available in those situations to identify someone? I
mean, they'll be able to identify through DNA and some other things, but where they would typically be able to get the dental and things like that quickly, it says that they're just almost like they were. I hate to say this, it's horrible because you're talking about human beings, but it's almost like they were cremated. It was so intensely hot. It goes on to say in this article that only 3% of the search area has even been cleared. Yeah. And that was as of today. Some 4,500 people were in need of shelter. Over 2,100 people sought refuge at 4 emergency shelters. And this is the question of what happened. Now, there's a lot of debate on this. There's a lot of conspiracy. Yeah. There's a lot of things that people are saying. But what we're going to read to you is the narrative that's being told. And I'm not saying the narrative is not true. I'm not saying this is not true. But
I think it's important for us to do this because I couldn't see a video or read any one article over the last couple of days that really told me everything that I was curious to find out. So I think this is important for our viewers tonight.
It's not a lot of information going around. Okay, so wildfires ignited over Hawaii on Tuesday, officials said. Some 2,170 acres were burned on Maui. Extreme winds, this is what they're blaming, extreme winds from a passing hurricane called Hurricane Dora, not a direct hit, but passing, and extreme drought conditions across Hawaii exacerbated the spread of the wildfires. Now, it says that the fires have 85% contained, blah, blah, blah.
This article, was this from today?
This was from today. This was from today. Now, this is what, and I'll have another article that I'll pull up here. But this is what they're saying happened. They're saying that this storm passed by.
Didn't even come to the island. It was just skirting, I guess. It was. I heard hundreds of miles offshore, but the winds were still very dramatic.
They said the wind gusts were up to 85 miles an hour. Now, that's not hurricane. Well, that is. I guess what is 70? Is it 70?
74 or something like that,
so they were saying they were getting some gusts up to 85 miles an hour. And offshore, not a direct hit, but this is what they're saying. Now, I don't know what's going to happen after this, but they're saying that the winds downed a lot of power lines.
Right.
And that the power lines, the transformers and so forth exploded, and the winds were so intense and the ground was so dry that it exploded.
So let's just park right there for a moment. So they're angry at the power company, and some have already filed lawsuits against the power company.
Yeah.
Okay, surely they know their business and all the dynamics that involve dry weather, hurricanes. Surely they would know in advance dry situations, if power lines fall to the ground, what could possibly happen?
Yeah.
That's why people are angry.
That's
They
why
want
they're
to know,
angry.
why did they not power down?
Okay, so that brings us to this next article. Power companies are accused in a lawsuit that's already been filed that quickly in ignoring warnings before the Maui wildfires. Now watch this. A lawsuit filed against Hawaii utility companies alleged the power company lines that were brought down in high winds triggered the spread of the devastating wildfire that destroyed much of the island. The lawsuit filed over the past weekend against 4 power companies is alleging the firms, quote, failed to de-energize their power lines prior to the fire, despite warnings days before that winds from Hurricane Dora would create a high fire danger, according to a news release from a law firm representing victims and survivors of the fire. The 4 companies named in the lawsuit, and it names the companies, quote, these power lines foreseeably ignited the fast-moving, deadly, and destructive Lahaina fire, which destroyed homes, businesses, church, schools, and historic cultural sites, according to multiple reports. It said it issued a warning that winds from Hurricane Dora could trigger the weather conditions, and, of course, they supposedly ignored it. Now, the lawsuit is alleging that they didn't want to take the chance of having to deal with the PR nightmare of people being without power and the heat and all of that. So they pushed it.
And in their defense, we don't know how long it takes to, power down and power back. I don't know anything about how that works, but this is devastating.
It's devastating.
You would think maybe something could have been done because this is over the top.
It's over the top.
And we haven't even touched on any conspiracy theories concerning this.
No, and look, I want to. We could touch on it, but I want to say this: there's no proof of this, but there are. You know the verbiage better than I do, but there are. Some. That's the reason I posted Patricia Thomas's comment earlier, saying, "Don't forget how the wildfires in Canada all started at one time," and so the theory is, Sandy, that there is a direct energy weapon being used from space and so forth. So let's walk lightly, but explain to the viewers what that is.
Okay. So I don't know all the ins and outs of this, but when the first of this article said this is the deadliest since which fire in California was it?
It was called the Camp Fire.
The Camp Fire of 2018.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mentioned to you earlier today that the images that I've seen remind me so much of those California fires starting in 2018. And there have been 2 or 3. There was the camp and maybe one was called the car. But the images are very close to where homes are just incinerated. Cars, there's nothing left of the cars but a shell.
But let's go back to the conspiracy theory is, if you want to call it that, is that we know that there are such things as direct energy weapons.
Direct energy weapons, right? And that was my point. Is people were saying they were seeing blue beams,
right,
across the sky shortly before the fire started in California, and having the aftermath of California looks so much like this aftermath.
Well, there is not even a doubt that, and it's confirmed, nobody's even denying that there was a Chinese satellite that had the green beams that came down over Hawaii, and they were saying that they were innocent, they were not kind of weapons or whatever, they were sort of surveillance. But there's video evidence, and that was several months ago, weeks ago, or whatever. So that we know that there were Chinese satellites that beamed a green light down to places in Hawaii, and then you factor in all the balloons and all this kind of stuff.
Yes.
So
we've talked about the news article side. This is definitely the conspiracy side of this, and these are reports coming out of this incident, the Hawaii incident, as well as years ago, the California incident. We weren't there. We can't say yes or no to it. And I don't want to go too far to the conspiracy side. But
I want to go.
People in our chat, I've read, as you know, the little bit I could look up and glance at it, are saying people are already getting offers on their property or what's left of what they had.
Oh, yeah. And the campfire, CJ's pointing out that the campfire was actually caused by faulty electrical wiring. Many people have confirmed that. We're not saying anything was suspicious about the campfire. But what I'm saying is this. The further theory that I tend to go a little bit more than the direct energy weapon is that, to me, what is suspicious is that it has been rumored for a while that one of the places in America that was going to be a 15-minute city type area was going to be Hawaii. And so you know, I wished I would have had time to get this article, Sandy. Me and you didn't even have time to talk about this. But listen to this. In July of this year, it was either the mayor of this, it was either the mayor of this area of Maui, or it might have been the governor of Hawaii. But you can research this and find this out to be fact. There was a law passed in July in Hawaii making eminent domain 10 times easier in times of destruction.
Wow.
So this law was passed in July, and now you see this. Let me just put this up here while we're talking, and I'll just mute it, and we'll let this play so people can just sort of look at some of this stuff here. This from the local news here. But this law gives the ability to come in times of tragedy just like this and basically take over these people's land or lowball them on the value and be able to rebuild.
So that they can get rid of the plight, or so that they can rebuild infrastructure, or both? Well,
there's no plight. I mean, this was a very high-end place.
Now that these places are destroyed, they don't want them standing there.
Yeah.
They want them taken down and removed. So,
well, I'm not saying they're going to do this, but I'm saying this law has made it easier for them to come in, and it's so convenient that this law was passed just in July. And
yes, it is.
Yeah, so they're going to have the ability to come in eminent domain, and a lot of people are saying, as we get closer and closer to Agenda 2030, that some of these places that are reluctant to become a 15-minute city are going tragedy. Unfortunate acts of nature and acts of God, what they call it in an insurance company, is going to make room for them to quickly come in and level things and rebuild it from the ground up as a 15-minute city.
Well, this is a phrase that came to my mind when I'm trying to take in all these different articles, videos, little, pieces on the local news, whatever, is that dead men tell no tales. And if you want to clear out a place, if you need people to move out of the way, it's probably a lot easier if these people can't talk and refute and fight.
Yeah.
If maybe all you're doing is stroking a check for the survivors, and they're just ready to move on because they're in so much pain, and then you can swoop in and just do whatever you want to do.
Right.
It's really scary.
It really is scary.
What if they decided that they needed a tract of land around here where some of us live?
Yeah.
And that you were just a lot of trouble, and let's find the easiest route to move you out of the way.
Absolutely. But big picture family, think about this. How much easier is it to implement control and having a city built on a structure, an infrastructure that is based on control when you are rebuilding it, versus when you got to come in and try to convince everybody and every business owner and every homeowner to agree to your agenda. Yeah. But when it's leveled,
just wipe the slate clean and start over.
Exactly.
We got a fresh palette to work here with.
And guess who is the largest landowner in the state of Florida, in the state of Hawaii, all these coastal states? BlackRock. And guess who signed an agreement? Think about the pattern. Sign an agreement with Ukraine to be the financer of the rebuilt Ukraine. They own the most property in Hawaii. They own the most property in Florida. Where are these hurricanes hitting? They have positioned themselves into, and then you really go down that rabbit hole of weather manipulation and all this kind of stuff, right. And playing the long game of positioning yourself to be ready to rebuild a city under your own agenda.
Right. Well, we're trying to dance and step lightly. I think we've probably said more than we intended to say, that when you add all of these things in that we've heard and seen over the last several years, and you add in BlackRock, Bill Gates, as we know, is the largest owner of farmland in this country.
Yep, we're going to get into that too tonight.
The craziness of Klaus Schwab and the WEF, the regulations our own government is bound and determined to hand down to us. I mean, what do you expect us to do?
Exactly.
We're being pushed to the brink here.
We are being pushed to the brink.
Yes.
And you know, and I'm just listen. We are very unashamed that we are Christians. We're very unashamed that we are conservative in our political views. That does not mean we're Republican. That means we are conservative in our views. But
we need to get upset, and we need to get really concerned about the plight of these people, because what is that phrase? They came for this so-and-so, and we did nothing. They came for so-and-so,
that was
and we
all
did
about
nothing.
the Nazis.
So,
and then they came for us.
How far is it away that they're going to be coming for us?
Yeah.
We got to stand up for our brothers. We got to at least ask some questions here.
Yeah, and the reason I'm saying, Sandy, is that we're not political is because I know that people will perceive this next one as political. But this, I would say this if this was a Republican president. You know, remember when Hurricane Katrina came through? Yes. You know, they say many people believe the absolute reason that George Bush lost the election is because of Katrina. It is because his handling of Katrina. And they call it now when somebody has another moment, they'll say, "Is this his Katrina moment?" and that kind of stuff. Well, you know, I don't know because of who he is and how the media is aligned, whether this is a Katrina moment or whatever. But I believe if this was Donald Trump or if this was anyone else, quite frankly, they would be raked over the coals, because this is what happened today. So President Joe Biden was on vacation again, and I don't know if it shows a picture of him. Yeah, he's sitting on the beach in Delaware, and so he's sitting out there doing his vacation thing, and he's getting ready to go back in to the SUV later that day, and the reporters are waiting. I'm gonna try not to scroll fast because everybody says it makes him busy, but so he's getting ready. Watch this. So he's getting in, and the question yelled, and you'll hear it, and I'm going to try to make sure you can hear it. The question is, Mr. President, any comment on the rising death toll in Maui? Not any comment even on the fires, but any comment on the death toll. This is what happened.
President, any comments on the rising death toll in Maui?
Will you come talk about the Hawaii response, Mr. President?
No,
nothing there.
No comment.
I don't get that, because he's already issued a disaster declaration. So he did that on Thursday or whatever.
But Sandy,
can't even comment.
But Sandy, he didn't.
He did it.
He didn't declare
the
an
administration.
emergency.
So it's not like the administration hasn't done anything. Thank God for that. But
yeah, it's the administration.
How much effort does it take?
Exactly.
To show some compassion, some concern.
I think, and I'm being as cautious as I can. I think he froze. He could not think about what to say, and he defaulted in his political mind. No comment. Not even thinking of the repercussions of that. We have the greatest, the largest death toll of a fire. I don't know if in our history or something to that effect. And the President of the United States, which is supposed to be the father of this country, says no comment. Well, immediately, before his car even made it to wherever he's going, where his helicopter is, he, and I put that in quotations, had already tweeted his compassion for the loss of life.
I don't get it, because there's handlers, assistants, helpers, advisors, whatever, all around. Surely they knew someone was in the vicinity and probably wanting to get a quote or ask a question. Usually those people are prompted. I don't understand how this slipped through unless it was intended to. I just don't get it.
And on top of everything else, in the midst of this going on today, he signed an order to send more billions to Ukraine. No comment on Maui, but proud to send billions to Ukraine. So I'm not going to park here.
Yeah. But
I'm
going to
say, don't forget this. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Don't forget this. Okay. This right here, I'm telling you, at some point, your handlers can't handle that.
Right. Well, let's just suffice it all to say it did not look very presidential, no matter what party you're with.
That's right. That's right. We're going to call it straight. We're going to speak it straight here. But let's have some good news. This is it's not good news, but it's pretty amazing. Yeah. So I saw some people already comment on this, and I want to put this up here because this is really, truly incredible because in the midst of everything else, there's the Catholic Church there that remained untouched in the worst devastation part of this fire. And look at this video here. This is just, so on both sides and across every area of the street is just burned down to nothing. And then it's gone. Everything else is gone. And there's a picture down here.
Wasn't it 9/11 when all these buildings, fell? There was a church.
There was a church that
St.
stood.
Paul's or something. It's kind of along that line. Just
look at these before and afters real quick, and then we'll move on to the next item. But these are some before and after shots of the coast here. Look at that. Before, after. Yeah. Before, after. Before. Look, that's the museum, his heritage museum, that large building in the back. After, it's just unreal. That's
like you said.
Look at that before, after.
I need to shut up. I'm going to say too much.
You're going to say too much, but look, it's a tragedy. We need to pray for the people of Hawaii. These are our. If you're watching from America and you're an American citizen, I believe anywhere in the world you're going to have compassion on this. Yes. Is that we want to pray for them, pray for speedy rectification of it, and also pray that the people of Maui are not taken advantage of and they lose their homes for the sake of Agenda 2030. But I fear they're going to. I fear that Agenda 2030 is going to catapult. This is going to be like a test tube to show the world what's coming.
You're just going all the way out on the limb tonight, aren't you?
I believe it is.
You're on the edge.
I'm not. Listen, I want to make it very clear. I'm not even saying that I'm buying into this conspiracy of the fire. I'm saying there might be some things that I got some questions about why the power company didn't do what it's supposed to do. I'm not doubting that it wasn't started from down the electrical lines. I'm saying that there's people in place in every major city all around this world waiting for the opportunity. Never let a crisis go to waste. Come in and slam that Agenda 2030 on us.
Prime property.
Yeah.
Some folks would love to get their hands on it.
Now, we don't do politics, but this is all over the news, and people wonder, why don't you ever cover this? I'm going to hit it one time. I'm going to say that whether you like Donald Trump or not, I believe what happened today is evidence of what is really going against him, because as many of you know, and all I'm going to say is this, I'm not going to delve into the politics of Donald Trump, but I don't know if you realize this or not, and you got to ask yourself, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, no matter where you're at, is this fair? So he's about to be indicted again. I think we all knew he was going to be indicted again on the charges in Georgia based on the election and what they said. Look at this. Today, the document that he was indicted and all of his things that he's indicted for, look at there, violation of the Georgia RICO Act, all of these, felony, serious felony. But here's the problem with it. The grand jury that will indict on this has not even voted yet to indict or not. But the Attorney General from Fulton County accidentally leaked the indictment that he has been indicted, and they've not even voted on whether they're going to indict or not. Now, you tell me if that's fair. I don't care who you are. That is
Sounds like another Tuesday for former President Trump.
I'm telling you, it is. Tell me there's no such thing as a fair justice system without telling me that.
How many times are we going to see stories like this over and over and over? I mean, this is like a narrative for him.
And I'm going to play this right here and I'm going to move on. But y'all,
this is precious.
Does this not look like a kid? Does this not look like a kid in high school? This is the foreperson, meaning, used to be able to call the foreman, but you can't say that anymore. The foreperson of the grand jury. This is the person running the grand jury, helping to get the votes in private on the grand jury. And the question was, were you wanting to subpoena Donald Trump to come before you in the grand jury? Now, this is the foreperson that will decide the fate of a former president of the United States.
Did you personally want to hear from the former president?
I wanted to hear from the former president, but honestly, I kind of wanted to subpoena the former president because I got to swear everybody in. And so I thought it'd be really cool to get 60 seconds with President Trump of me looking at him and being like, do you solemnly swear? And me getting to swear him in. I kind of just thought that would be an awesome moment.
That's what we call plum giddy in the South.
I just thought it would be an awesome moment.
Plum giddy.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame.
All right, so let's get out of this thing before I say too much. Okay, but now this is another tragedy, but this right here, I don't know what the deal is with this thing. This house, I just want to tell you,
and
I'm only
this
covering
news just in,
because this is on the
CNN
news.
officials say
Look at
they've
this
recovered
devastation.
the remains of a fifth victim found at the site of this
Unreal.
ferocious home explosion outside of Pittsburgh.
When you see
3
the
homes were
aftermath.
destroyed, 12 others damaged. A child is among the victims. Authorities are working to determine a cause. A Ring doorbell video
Look at this video.
obtained by CNN appears to show the explosion and the debris scattering everywhere there. As a precaution, the gas service was shut off to 50 nearby homes. The local gas provider said at a press conference a short time ago that gas systems were operating as designed at the time of the explosion. 57 firefighters at the scene suffered minor injuries related to response
That is unbelievable.
to that
We should
blast.
absolutely do an
One victim
investigation
from the
into who these
explosion
people
remains in
were that were
critical
inside this
condition.
home.
Honestly, I think you may be onto something there.
Hello.
Yep, I think you might be onto
Hope it
something.
didn't work
right
for
there.
the government or something like that.
But it was such an explosion. It looked like a nuclear explosion. But I just wanted to show you that because everybody's seeing it on the news, so we want to cover that. But I want to say one other thing, y'all, before we leave the whole thing about Hawaii is the most tragic thing. Life is life, but I don't know if you've heard this, but they're saying they're not releasing the names because the majority, the super majority of the number that's already confirmed dead are children. And they are believing that the overwhelming number is going to be children. And one other thing to point out that somebody pointed out on a show I was watching today, that one of the things that nobody talks about, that is absolutely a fact, that when a tragedy happens, whether it's a hurricane or a fire, some of the first ones on the ground are the traffickers. The traffickers, because they realize there will be children and people away from their homes. It's the easiest way to traffic. So right now in Hawaii, in Maui, the demonic forces that were covered in the movie Sound of Freedom and all these that we've been talking about are on the ground. They're finding out ways to do horrible things to these children. That's why we need to pray. This is a spiritual thing. It's a horrible physical tragedy, but this is a spiritual thing as well. Wow, that's all I want to say on that. But we do need to realize that, we talk a lot about China here, so let's sort of transition here, which, by the way, if you're watching us tonight, we want to say thank you to all of our partners that have clicked that join button right down below us. It's one of the biggest ways you encourage us. It's $5 a month, and, man, it just lets us know that you're all in with us and what you do. I'm telling you, when we see a new partner and you see that little badge next to people in the live chat, that means that they've partnered with us. And they get little special emojis and stuff to use. It's pretty cool. So thank you to our partners. We appreciate it.
Yes.
Oh man, I'm telling you, I'm having to just get my head back because I'm messed up right now. I'm so mad and I'm so heartbroken too. But I want to go to this article here. It says Chinese military. Because remember, we're telling people, our military is saying we're going to war with China in 2024. But look at this. This is from Yahoo News. Chinese military says it has figured out that they're the first country in the world that has figured out how laser weapons now can fire. Look at the headline, indefinitely, Sandy. This is an actual image of one of their laser weapons. Now, the Chinese military has announced that it has a major breakthrough in energy weapon tech if it holds up. As the South China Morning Post reports, representatives from the country's National University of Defense Technology says they have developed a state-of-the-art cooling system that would allow high-energy lasers to remain powered up infinitely without getting too hot. While laser technology has existed for decades, these high-energy beams generate so much excess heat they can often go haywire, hampering previous attempts to use them as weapon systems. But the new Chinese cooling system, according to the report, would use gas that blows through the weapon to remove excess heat and allow for weapons to shoot precise laser beams for an indefinite amount of time without losing power or getting distorted.
So we can achieve maximum destruction?
Do you know what I thought about when I heard this? This is what when I read this, I thought, you've got a permanent laser beam that never gets hot and never has to turn out.
Don't have to turn it off. Don't have to power it back up.
Think about this. What would you need to run that weapon that never turns off? AI. So if you had AI in a robot that never needs to sleep, never needs to eat, you can literally create a military that runs by itself. Is there any dangers in that? Thank you for that super chat from Terry. Thank you so much, Terry. But I mean, you got a military now that can energize weapons that never have to be turned off and never have to have somebody bring in another shift.
Exactly.
Does this not sound like we are literally headed to Terminator?
And I guess it's really convenient that they don't have a conscience as well.
Exactly. They don't have a conscience.
The whole package right there.
So what do you think about this, Andy? This is, have you heard anything? We just talked about the green beams and stuff like that. So we see that China is doing a lot of research into lasers.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody caught that phrasing energy weapon that we were just talking about in that first article, those first articles. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's also a direct energy weapon.
Yeah, that never has to turn off.
It's just too much.
They can just... Did you like that sound effect? I'm telling you, these are scary things. I have to actually be a little goofy to try to deal with it.
It's pretty cool.
I had a pastor come up to me in that last conference I was at, and he goes, man, I'm going to tell you what, I love your show, but when I turn your show off, I got to go in another room and just grab myself and just my head, just hold my hand on my head and just start saying, God help me, God help me, God help me.
Oh, well, welcome to the party, because that's exactly what we have to do.
I said, you think you have to do that? You ought to do what we have to do to deal with the stuff that we have to cover. But somebody has to cover it, right?
That's right.
Somebody has to cover it.
They voted you.
I think they voted us.
And then you voted me.
Exactly.
So now it's us.
Are you trying to say I drug you into this?
Yes.
Okay, I did. Are y'all happy that I did? Are y'all happy that I did?
Familiar theme in our life.
I've already seen several people saying that they love you and love your comments and stuff. So I think they love you. It would not be any problem if I didn't show up. Only problem for you is you wouldn't know how to do all these buttons.
That's right.
But
I have to do that learning curve.
You could host this show without me in a heartbeat.
Questionable.
Let me just tell you that if you're watching this live tomorrow night, I can't tell you how excited I am about this.
This is big.
Pastor Ron Carpenter at 7 p.m. Tuesday night, August 15th, and of course available for replay after that. He is talking about spiritual fathers and sons in the remnant rising and the revival. Can you believe a revival that's happening? Thank you for that super chat, Lisa Marie. That's happening of all places, California. There is a true revival happening in California. So let's go into this news article here.
Just keep Gavin Newsom out there.
Oh, yeah, just keep it. You know, they're saying he's probably going to replace Biden and run for president.
Well, you know.
Russia is set to launch its first mission to the moon in nearly 50 years.
Here we go. Race to the moon again?
Race to the moon again.
Nice.
This is the Russian astronauts getting ready. It sort of looks like the same one we went to the moon with before. I mean, it don't look a whole lot different other than
We
solar
really
panels.
haven't advanced in all these many years, have we? Hopefully so.
So they're now saying that they're going to go to the moon. And so let's see what the article says here. Russia is scheduled to launch its first mission to the moon in nearly 50 years on Friday, pitting it in a space race with India, not America, with India, which is also aiming to land a lunar craft this month. Who knew? Did you know India was going to the moon this month?
I did not know they were going this month, but I did know that they, as well as China, of course, Russia, all have different programs for space.
Yeah. Well, the launch of Luna 25 craft to the moon will be Russia's first since 1976, when it was a part of the Soviet Union, and will be conducted without assistance from the European Space Agency, which ended cooperation with Russia after the invasion of Ukraine. This is interesting to me, this part here. The Russian lunar lander is expected to reach the moon on August 23rd, about the same day as an Indian craft, which was launched on July 14th. Both countries' modules are headed for the lunar South Pole, an area where no spacecraft has landed smoothly.
Okay.
Only 3 governments have managed successful moon landings: the Soviet Union, the United States, and China. Now, call me stupid, but I did not know that China had already landed on the moon. I did not know that. I knew the United States and the Soviet Union. I did not know that China had openly, of course, there's all kinds of conspiracies of who's really up there, but openly admitting, that we know that they were there. Did you know that China? I didn't know that China had been to the moon.
I had heard that China had been in space and on the moon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Russia's space agency said it wants to show Russia is, quote, a state capable of delivering a payload to the moon.
Why all this interest about, did you say the South?
The South, yeah. The South Pole, the lunar South Pole, an area where no spacecraft has landed smoothly before.
Well, that's impressive, but I'm waiting for someone to say they're going to the dark side of the moon.
I knew he was going to say that. But here's the part that jumps out at me. Wants to prove they're capable of delivering a payload to the moon. You don't deliver payload anywhere unless you're delivering supplies to the moon, which means their goal is to start building bases.
Okay, yes, bases, but only bases for habitation? Or are you trying to do some military buildup so you can launch things towards the Earth?
I think we're about to find out the real reason why we have a Space Force. Study the moon is not the goal, a popular Russian space analyst said. The goal is political competition between the 2 superpowers, China and the USA, and a number of other countries which also claim the title of a space superpower. And it goes on to say the Lunar 25, which was initially meant to carry a small moon rover, but that idea was abandoned to reduce the weight. Foreign electronics are lighter, domestic electronics are heavier, blah, 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 blah. Here's the thing. Okay, let's put the tinfoil hat on. Do we ever believe the narrative? Oh, come on. Are they really just trying to go to the moon? Ladies and gentlemen, we know this is more than that.
You can't believe anything you hear and only half of what you see.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's like the television shows and movies that we see where there are continual shuttle launches, like multiple times a week.
I was thinking about that show we watched that was where they had where Russia and America was on the moon, and they was fighting each other and stuff. What was that show? I can't remember, but it was,
For All Mankind or something like that.
Yeah.
CJ knows. But it's not just that. It's multiple movies and television shows where they depict shuttles going and resupplying either space stations or possible colonies. And how many, eventually, if you're doing that over and over again, you're going to be able to fit out a base and fit out a colony, whether it's for habitation or military purposes.
Okay, so Tiffany says, are they supplying existing base stations? already. You're just wondering. But
Girl.
But yeah.
She's out on the limb with you.
Yeah, she is. But look what Ken
You little conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, look what Ken said. Ken said China's goal was landing on the dark side 6 years ago, and that's where their lander is at.
Thank you. He is in my camp, okay? I'm feeling this conversation. We need to expand on this, okay?
Yeah. Okay. All right, Ken. What are you trying to do to me? You trying to get my wife to go down that rabbit trail? I see what you're doing. That's good. I love that. Oh, we just got a downvote. Somebody just didn't like that. So I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you and hurt your feelings. We still love you. Bidenomics is just booming, but it's booming in the wrong direction. Food prices, Sandy, in the month of July alone, went up basically 5%.
Well, if you take care of, for all those who take care of our households and do the shopping, we didn't need an article to tell us that.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yep. Exactly. Look at this. Team Biden is desperately trying to convince Americans that Bidenomics is working. But Consumer Price Index shows that inflation ticked up over the last year and remains more than double what it was when Biden took office.
Yeah, that little sentence right there, I wrote down and made note of that.
Yeah. Think of when Biden brags about the inflation is coming down, blah, blah, blah. But the price of food, the price of food in July is shocking. The price of gas is going back up. Look, the cost of living is through the roof.
Yes.
I mean, from June to July, this is incredible. This would have been high for a year. Mm-hmm. But from June to July, adjusted for seasonal swings, the price of uncooked beef roast spiked 6.5%.
This is specific to beef roast. I'm sure there were increases in other beef products, but this 6.5 is specific to beef roast. And that's probably just the beginning as far as beef is concerned. All this cattle that we have culled out of herds and gotten rid of, I don't think we've even begun to feel the pain concerning beef.
Exactly. Uncooked beef steaks prices rose 2.3%. Uncooked ground beef rose 1.5%. Beef and veal got 2.4% more expensive last month. The higher prices are recorded as the country's beef supplies have been contracting. Extreme drought in recent years caused farmers to rapidly sell cattle because the conditions, plus with higher fed costs, made it expensive. Herd liquidation, as you just said, continues to tighten supply, leading to a higher cattle cost.
This happened due to disease and because they couldn't afford to feed them.
Yeah. So I think we all know that, Thursday's government data reflects a similar trend. In the 12 months through July, uncooked beef steaks got 7.8% more expensive. Uncooked beef roast, 6.3%, ground beef 3.1%. Beef and veal prices together rose 5.3% over the course of the year. Pork prices overall fell 3.7%, and chicken prices dropped. Well, thank God the chicken prices are dropping because every preacher got to eat chicken.
Well, everybody knows we cannot survive without chicken.
Chicken, that's right.
But, it's scary to think that I might not even be able to enjoy a steak at home pretty soon.
Right.
It's bad enough, you think, well, I can't go to the restaurant and get a steak because can't afford it.
Yeah, and staying on the economic trend here, some more doom and gloom. I know y'all think we're doom and gloom preachers. All we're doing is reading the news. And if they're telling us this, it's probably worse than what it is.
This is hard, cold reality here.
This is difficult. Americans are now tapping into their 401ks during private debt crisis. Credit card balances in the United States have surpassed $1 trillion.
And that's what they admit
for the first time.
You wonder if it's actually more than that.
Yeah. For the first time. Notice those words. For the first time. This is not like we're doing it again. U.S. credit card balances have surpassed $1 trillion for the first time. Is that a million billion?
Delane, do you know?
I don't know. Is that a million billion or 1,000 billion? I think it's 1,000 billion.
Don't ask me hard questions.
I think it's 1,000 billion. I went to Warrior High School. My school don't even exist anymore. With balances up almost 20% from a year ago. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York reported that total credit card debt stood at $986 billion in the first quarter of 23. In the first quarter of 23, unchanged from the record hit into 2022, the average credit card interest rate offered in the United States over the last 3 months is at 21.6%. a jump from 18% a year ago. And Americans are now tapping into their retirement funds to make ends meet. Sandy, hardship withdrawals allow employees to pull money out of their 401k for, quote, immediate and heavy financial need. No one would recommend doing this unless the situation was dire. Bank of America reported that 15,950 employees enrolled in 401k programs made a hardship withdrawal during the first 3 months of 23, a 36% rise from quarter number 2 of 2022. Individuals must show evidence that the money will be used for a major hardship in order to avoid the 10% early withdrawal fee imposed for those under 59 and a half. In other words, they had to prove it, and it was provable. These 15,950 employees proved to their bank, if I don't get this money out, I'm not going to make it.
Well, it's very hard to hear that this is a growing trend where people are tapping into retirement. They're running up credit cards just to get by.
Yeah.
We don't fully understand how big of an impact that is to the economy, to the future. But, those analysts who know what trends to watch for and they know how to decipher all these things, they know full well. And they're probably not telling the full truth of what the impacts are going to be about this.
Pamela Baker points out the reason all this is happening with beef, they want you to eat the bugs. Eat the bugs. I'm going to tell you, man, that's a laughing little funny thing we do. They really want that. They really want to eliminate beef and
want
meat.
It.
Yeah, it's for real, y'all. This is not conspiracy. I keep saying that. These things are not conspiracy. They have made it very clear they want to eliminate any kind of meat. They want you to eat vegetables, but they don't even want you to eat vegetables. They want you to eat lab-grown stuff. That's it. And the bugs. Take a deep breath, Larry. Take a deep breath. Blow it out. Blow it out. I'm not practicing yoga. I don't believe in that. Okay.
Oh, you're not going to center?
I'm not. I don't know. I don't do all that demonic stuff. My center is Jesus. Come on, somebody. Well, the world is leaving the U.S. dollar like crazy, and this headline was alarming to me. 85% of the world's population, based on what countries they're a part of, making up 85% of the world's population, is ready to ditch the U.S. dollar. This is crazy. Just a few years ago, I'm talking about like 3 years ago, the U.S. dollar was the main instrument every country used to negotiate anything. This is how fast it's gone down. A growing number of countries are expressing discontent with the United States dollar and America's global financial policies. The dissatisfaction comes at a time when the BRICS alliance is looking to sideline the U.S. dollar for international transactions. The displeasure against American hegemony perfectly coincided with the BRICS summit when countries were looking did I say that right?
Hegemony.
Hegemony? What does that mean? I saw you laughing at me. What does that mean? I saw a hedge on it. I was like, that must be some kind of economy.
Moving on.
Hey.
Think of a hedge.
Hedge.
Hedging, protecting.
And then economy. And you match them to two. Is that what it is?
We'll talk about it later.
This is my life. This is what constantly being said. What did you just say? What did you just say? Make it so easy. I do, man. I'm trying to make your life interesting.
Oh, that's for sure.
A total of 45 countries has expressed interest in joining the BRICS bloc in the weeks ahead of the summit. 23 countries have formally submitted their applications, while 22 other nations have expressed interest.
And remember, that's coming up starting August 22nd.
August 22nd. Is that crazy, Sandy? 85% of because you talk about countries like China and India, how big they are, and all of that. So when you take all these countries, we're not saying 85% of the countries. We're just talking about the people that come up underneath those governments. When you take the countries that are saying they want to join BRICS and leave the U.S. dollar and use this gold-backed bricks digital currency that they're going to have. It represents 85% of every human being on this earth is going to have to operate in something outside of the U.S. dollar.
What it represents is them against us, and we're sitting here. It's like the ground eroding underneath our feet.
It really is.
This top dog status that we've enjoyed for so long, quickly going away.
Quickly going away. And so one of the things I want to remind you about is every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central Time is the Kingdom Intelligence Report. Woo! So this coming Thursday night is going to be none other than Stan Deyo. And
love that
we've
man.
already talked today. And I know one of the things we're going to talk about.
You talked to Stan today?
In email. Yes, we did.
You did not tell me that.
And Stan said we're going to talk about those aliens in Peru.
Oh boy.
We're going to touch on what the Peruvian people said they saw. That, I don't know if you know this, now the narrative is that they are illegal miners with jetpacks. Have you seen the cartoon that Timothy Alberino made?
Oh, yes.
That was hilarious.
Oh, yes.
He said, I'm submitting this to Marvel. The what do you call the miners? The backpack miners. And
he said,
and they got jetpacks.
They're using very loud jetpacks as it's nighttime, and they're trying to make their way through very heavy foliage.
Yeah. So that's what it is, y'all. It's just miners. It's miners.
It's the miner 49er.
Oh God, that's good. Only a few people will know about the miner 49er. Look it up. All right, so staying on what's happening around the world, Ghana and many other African countries are following suit, but they're beginning to voluntarily issue digital IDs. Watch this. To all newborns. Digital IDs to newborns to fully partake in the fourth industrial revolution.
Well, clearly, it's such a benefit to that brand newborn baby, right?
Right. Remember, that's what Klaus Schwab said. The fourth industrial movement.
Fourth turning.
Yep, will be the digital world.
Whatever.
Beginning earlier this month, the African nation of Ghana announced that all newborns will be issued a compulsory national digital ID, like the rest of adults who have signed up for procurement called the Ghana Card. The Ghana Card is more and more being used as the primary source of identification, which some calls to make it the uniform ID for voter registration. The vice president made the announcement at the Ghana National College several weeks ago, accompanied by a press release on July 23rd that explained, quote, that the planned rollout of digital ID numbers to toddlers comes as work to integrate the databases of the Births and Deaths Registry, the National Identification Authority, and the Ghana Health Service has been completed. So from next month, all babies born in Ghana, once they take them to weigh in, they will be issued the Ghana Card number, also get their birth certificate identification number at the same time, because the two databases are, look at the wording, talking to each other.
Of course.
This is very transformational. You think? It's pretty transformational. Where you used to just get a card that said this is your Social Security number, you are now assigned a number and a digital, what's this? You can't have a digital ID that's worth anything if you don't have the biometrics of that child. So that means that at birth, I want you to think about what Ghana is doing, and Ghana is a very big part of the World Economic Forum. They are one of the African countries. African countries are, several of the African countries are a part of BRICS and these kind of things, and China has a very influential inwards into the continent of Africa. Yep. But watch this. What they're saying is now this is the first of many countries to come to where the baby is born. They're weighing the baby. And look, you weigh the baby, then you hand the baby to the mother, right? So they're saying before we even hand the baby over, at least to the father to hold the baby, they're going to make sure they get the eyes, the fingerprints, probably draw the blood and get the DNA. They're going to make sure they've got all the biometrics of this child. They're going to put it in the system to match the Social Security number, whatever the number they call it there.
Right.
They're going to identify and give this digital ID to this baby and then hand this baby to the child.
And this is a lot of infrastructure to be there on the ground to direct these people to certain places to make sure that this happens right when a child is born.
And
Who's paying for this? Who's setting all this up? Who is monitoring and everything? Who, how, why?
Yeah, and think about it. This is a poor country.
Yes, that's exactly where I'm going.
Yeah, this is a country that is
probably very
struggling to feed these
low,
babies.
Poor infrastructure.
Yes.
So many people, just to stay alive, survival is like top issues of their life.
Yes.
But yeah, we're going to make sure that you are fully digitized.
It says biometric update on this says officials have explained that the Ghana card numbers to be assigned to newborns will be for life. But physical cards, actual physical cards to give them containing their biometrics will be issued only when they have attained legal age, which at least for now is 18. This is to ensure that the biometric features to be captured are fully developed. Meaning, now I want you to read that line again. They don't get their permanent card. They have the biometrics of the baby, which means they have the fingerprints, they have the eyes, they have the pupils, they have all this stuff. But they will get a card at 18 to ensure, look at the reading, that the biometric features to be captured are fully developed. In other words, they're going to have to go in and update the fingerprints of a larger hand, update the eyes, update everything else for life.
Are you saying they're going to have to look into that orb at some point? Is that what you're trying to say?
One of their own kind of orbs. Yep. And I'm going to tell you something. You think that Ghana is on the other side of the world or in another continent, or maybe you're watching from Africa or even Ghana itself, and you can tell the whole world for us that these are not just isolated things. These are the rollout. This is the rollout, ladies and gentlemen. This is the rollout.
If they can do this in such a poor country, how much more easily can they do it here?
Well, we're in the United States of America. We have a constitution. They'll never do this. Oh, wait a minute. 12 states, Sandy, in the United States have already begun offering digital IDs.
There you go.
California, Michigan, and Iowa are all taking steps to implement digital IDs. California is testing, Iowa is launching, and Michigan is considering legislation relative to mobile driver's license. These states are planning to join Arizona, Colorado, Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, Hawaii, Ohio, Utah, and Maryland in offering MDLs. The new digital driver's license will allow residents to virtually perform services that otherwise would have required an in-person trip to the DMV. Michigan is proposing a bill that would allow the Secretary of State to issue digital IDs in addition to their traditional physical counterparts. If passed, MDLs would become official IDs, equivalent to physical licenses. They would be valid for state government services, banking, police stops, and ID checks for age. Given the ease and accessibility of generative AI tools, these are some of the cautions that people are saying. You think?
Yeah.
That can create fake images. It's irresponsible, one person says, for government or business entitled to implement any system utilizing remote-based biometrics without the necessary protections against AI-created deepfakes digitally injected into vulnerable camera feeds.
Retha says they're talking about it in Mississippi.
They are? That's one of our spiritual daughters out there in Mississippi. Yep, they're already talking about it. And we just said Mississippi's one of them. So basically, they're saying, everything's going to be digitized, but at the same time, AI is growing so fast, and deep fakes are so real.
So convincing.
It would be so easy to hack somebody's digital ID, take their number, fake a crime or something if they wanted to get rid of them. What are you going to do about it?
Exactly. Yep, but that's where they want to drive everything.
Because it's all about control. It's all about control. See, if I stand in front of a camera at the DMV and I get a physical driver's license, now I know you can fake driver's license, but it's a lot easier to protect yourself pulling out that driver's license and showing it than taking your phone out or taking your watch, or one day taking just your hand. Not one day. I mean, you're already doing it in Whole Foods right now. Amazon just released the Pay with Palm at all Whole Foods. Some of you I'd love to see in the live chat in the comment section if you've gone into Whole Foods and seen it. I've seen people posting videos of going, what in the world? And they're just literally, and the people in the videos are so giddy. They're just like, what's
so
this?
happy about
I'm
it.
going to pay for this with my palm. And they just do this. And when they put their hand over it, it goes, paid in full, and they get the receipt and go home.
Well, Whole Foods is pretty bougie for us, so
Yeah,
obviously I have not seen that.
I'll be honest with you right now, I've never been in a Whole Foods in my life.
I think I've been in one.
I ain't never been in one. I don't care if I ever go in one. I'm sorry if you're a Whole Foods fan. What do they have that I don't have? Come on.
They are better than your store.
No, they are
And
not.
everybody knows that.
Whole Foods, yeah, whatever. It's owned by Amazon Bezos. Okay, now look, let's get one more article on this because this is just how fast everything is going. London town is introducing higher fees for people parking with cash. They are starting to penalize globally the use of cash. Do you remember it wasn't that long ago that you had to pay more if you used a credit card? Because they
Right.
want you to cover the processing fee. Now, look at this. In order to keep our prices low, we are encouraging all of our residents and visitors to go cashless when paying for parking, with the incentive being a discounted rate. Sutton County increased rates as its parking meters in June, but kept prices the same for those using a mobile app or phone service. This means for parking for 1 hour now costs £3 at meters, but only £2 through the app or phone. What? The move was criticized by the government and motoring groups, the government spokesman, blah, blah, blah. It says the UK said the policy hits older people the hardest as many don't use smartphones. And I think that might be part of the plan. Further isolate the older generation and maybe move them out of the way.
Well, it's a lot easier to track your every move when you're doing all or most of your transactions through your phone, your device, through apps, than it is through just cash. They know who you are, where you were at exactly what time, how long you stayed there. And of course, it's all about control, like we talk about all the time. But it's this whole learning curve and training of the mind.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You still want to use your cash? Well, bam, you're going to pay more.
Right.
But if you do this over here, you get a discount.
Yep. And then we'll give you a greater discount if you'll just look into this orb.
There's incentives. Just
Look into this orb and we'll give you 20% off today only.
It makes me think of the Men in Black movie. They let you talk and tell everything that you know, and they gain all this information. Now, just look at this right here.
We'll take all your information, but you'll never remember it.
You don't remember a thing.
Oh, Sandy, all the movies that we've watched, are they all true?
Of course. It's all predictive
Were they,
programming.
was every movie
They were
actually a
trying
documentary?
to tell you something. You didn't get it at the time.
Oh, God. I have, what do they call that, red pilled? I have been fully red pilled, I think.
I'm sorry, baby.
I think I took the red
You
pill.
wanted to stay.
Am I in a
But I
matrix?
just pulled you kicking and screaming.
Am I an avatar? Or some... No, I'm not. I'm a man. Created in the image of God.
You are a man.
I am a man.
You just had a men's
I
conference.
had a men's conference.
And it was the bomb.
Ooh, and they were all saying, I am a man, and I'm not ashamed to be a man. Be a man. It takes a man to be a man.
That was deep.
Deep. Deep thoughts by Larry Ragland. This right here makes me mad. I've heard this was coming, but it's getting closer and closer. And everybody that I follow
This
says,
is ridiculous.
yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. This happened at the World Economic Forum. We covered this back at the last gathering in Davos. They said at Davos that what we learned through the lockdown of the WAWA, that we can do this. So they said at the World Economic Forum, the next lockdown is going to come from an emergency from the climate. And now Sources are saying that Biden is close to declaring a climate emergency, which will give him power to ration gas, electricity, and meat.
And that's not all. What was the other thing?
Well, we'll get down into it. Joe Biden.
Travel.
Travel, right. So Joe Biden is close to signing an executive order to declare a climate emergency, granting the Democrat president sweeping new powers to enforce lockdowns and other tyrannical measures in order to, quote, save the planet from global warming. And public policy think tank is warning. According to Heartland Institute, quote, the signs are there that Biden will declare a climate emergency that would see gas rationing, restrictions on electricity use, and limits on air travel. The move would also place limits on meat and dairy consumption in order to meet the, quote, net zero goals of the Green Agenda, or 2030. That's part of the 17 sustainable goals. Yeah. The Heartland Institute says insiders have revealed that the Biden administration has been working with the United Nations to prepare for the authoritarian restrictions. Amid the behind-the-scenes maneuvering, the United Nations website has been updated with a new, quote, climate emergency page. The UN website states, quote, the science is clear, quote, the world is in a state of climate emergency and we need to shift into emergency gear. Listen as the United Nations continues on their website. Humanity's burning of fossil fuels has emitted enough greenhouse gases to significantly alter the composition of the atmosphere, and average world temperatures have risen between 1.1 and 1.2 Celsius. And for every degree in rising temperatures, the cost of adaptation is to rise exponentially. GHG emissions must peak now, yet the gap between ambition and action is growing. We have the solutions we need, and many will reduce emissions, contribute to climate adaptation, create jobs, restore the natural environment, and encourage good investments. And they, of course, go on to say that there may need to be authoritarian, they don't use that word, measures to shut everything down. So you heard it here. You're going to start hearing it. Start dripping.
I'm hearing all this, and I'm just picturing people in bread lines, in darkened cities, you know, the car lines at the gas pumps that we've seen in past, years and years. It's just so much oppression. And is it really even necessary, or is it just really a mechanism of control?
It is. It is an absolute mechanism of control, because once you shut everything down, and it's been proven, the sheep will do it. The sheep, even if you're not a believer in the climate religion, there are people that so believe in the government. They are so manipulated by the government that they will believe that this is something that they legitimately need to do, and it will be spun. It will be spun for you're doing this for the children. It will be spun that this, if you, listen, how dare you fight this when you see that, you can drive your cars and you can do your stuff for another 15, 20 years and you're gone. But if you don't do this now, even after you're gone, your children, your grandchildren will die in the streets. They will threaten that your children will die in the streets if you don't do this. That's the same way that many people are going to take the mark of the beast that are left here. Is they're going to use their family as a weapon to them to cause them and say, look, we'll let your family live. You take this mark, you worship the image of the beast. So here we are. We're getting ready. I'm not saying everything was planned, but I can tell you this. The powers that be were test running what just happened around this world with the WAN. And they're like, people we never thought we could control that easy just lined up and let us control them. So I think they've got multiple things down the line that they're going to take more and more of our freedom away.
Well, let's just talk about this green initiative and net zero. I mean, when they first started talking about this and rolling this out, this seemed, in my mind, how in the world? This is impossible. How is this ever going to be implemented? Well, we're seeing it now. They're making believers out of people.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's disgusting.
It is. But, thank God for California.
Oh,
Because California always seems to have the answer. Now, I want you to listen to this. I want to set this up before I show you this news article, because I thought this was the Babylon Bee, but it's not. This is a trusted news site, and this is fact. So you have a state that have already signed a law saying that in just a few years, it will be illegal in the state of California to sell or purchase a gas-powered vehicle. It will be illegal. Used car lots will go out of business. You will only be able to buy EVs, electric vehicles, in a matter of years in the state of California. They want everything to go electric. They have said that they will ban gas stoves. They will ban anything that's gas.
Well, I haven't read this article, but I'm not going to be surprised if it goes on to say, if you have a gas-powered vehicle, are you going to be fined to drive it on their roads? Maybe you didn't buy it in the state because you couldn't, but if you're driving on their roads, do you have to pay regulation fees, fines?
It doesn't say that,
Okay.
but I will tell you this. I have read that multiple lawmakers in California and New York and some other places have submitted policies to start charging by the mile. Instead of charging, you have to put a thing in your vehicle where it's almost like a taxi driver used to have, and you get charged by the government by the mile that you drive. But this is not what this article is about. This is the genius of California. So they want everything to go electric. They're going to ban gas-powered cars. Now, this is a state that Governor Newsom has even admitted that their power grid is outdated and is overworked,
Inefficient,
and they have had to have rolling blackouts in the state of California. So they started asking themselves, how can we assure that if it's a bad weather day, if the solar panels get burned up or something, that we'll be able to power the state of California if we get rid of carbon-fueled plants? Sandy, this is not a joke. Okay. This is real.
I'm bracing myself.
California says they could resort to using electric cars to charge the power grid.
They can change the flow from the car back to the plant? What are you saying?
Okay. This is Just the News. We met the John Solomon, the owner of Just the News at the NRB. He's a great man of God. He's just a dedicated journalist. Everything that's on here is facts. The state of California has struggled to reconcile its aggressive green energy agenda against its unreliable and blackout-prone power grid. May have an admittedly unconventional solution, thanks to a proposal from Pacific Gas and Electric Company using electric cars to charge the power grid. The power company says that this power company, which provides power for around 16 million California residents, sees, quote, great potential, end quote, for EVs, electric vehicles, to act as a power grid backup generator. Quote, the grid needs those electric vehicles. We need to make it available, and it could be a huge resource.
I don't even know what to
Just the News contacted the power company for more details. A spokesman responded by lauding the supposed benefits of bi-directional charging. PG&E believes in a future where everyone is driving an electric vehicle and where the EV serves as a backup power option at home and more broadly as a resource for the stinking power grid for the millions of people. Not only is this a huge advancement for electric reliability and climate resiliency, it's yet another advantage of clean-powered EVs.
I believe the power company would hook something up to you so they could power off of your energy.
Absolutely.
It could be like
I've seen that movie too.
The Matrix or something.
The cars, Sandy, are an important part of our collective battle against climate change. Do you understand
We'll leave no
how
stone
stupid
unturned,
this
right?
is? And do you understand how many millions of people think this is brilliant? But it is the stupidest, idiotic thing. I might get flagged and kicked off for saying that because it's a religion. It's like I just went against their sacrament.
Yeah. Don't touch their green religion.
But,
Okay.
So look.
Please. I have ideas and thoughts. Please lay this out for me, how you think this works. Like, not just in theory, like.
Well, I'm going to tell you exactly how they think
process.
it works. Okay. So there are phones right now. Samsung makes them as well. I've seen them where they have bi-directional charging. Where you have wireless charging. So you can take your phone, you can set your phone on the wireless charger, it starts charging. Well, some phones now have bi-directional charging where you can, let me see your phone. So I could, if your phone was going dead, I could take my phone, put your phone up against my phone, and it would start charging your phone. Samsung has that ability now. So they're saying, but this is how stupid this is. They're saying you need a car that the only way it will go is electricity. So every night you're going to charge that car. Well, you're not going to, they want you in those 15-minute cities. So they're going to give you a battery that says you can go 4 hours, but you're never going to drive 4 hours because you live in a 15-minute city now. So you're going to charge it and top it off every night. And you're going to know, hey, for the sake of the children, for the sake of the planet, for Mother Earth, I'm going to say, California Power Company, you can have this extra power that watch this, how stupid we are, that I just paid you for.
Oh my goodness, you're right.
To charge my car.
Oh,
Mind blown.
oh my gosh. I was not even thinking.
Think
Oh
about
my.
how stupid people are going to be. I just paid you the power bill to charge my car. And this is what they're going to do. They're going to give you a discount. They're going to say, and if you'll agree to let your car stay
And
plugged
they have
up.
the ability without asking you.
Not now, but they will.
Oh,
Maybe
I'll
they
bet
do.
they already do.
They do.
But you have to swipe something, press some buttons or whatever to agree to funnel that energy back to them from your car.
From your car, back through the line. Think of the infrastructure re-engineering of the power lines that you have to do.
I may have to go sit alone and think about this.
This is a legitimate. This is the power company saying this.
I'm messed up right now. I'm just messed up.
Let's finish. Let's mess you up a little bit more.
More? There's more?
I want to finish this article. The company also said tapping electric cars eliminates, quote, the need for non-renewable sources like fossil fuels. So the answer to the world now is not that you drive an electric car so that you can do away with coal-powered plants. The electric car, ladies and gentlemen, is going to solve climate change. The state is widely regarded as the most green energy-driven state, but it's also infamous for its rolling blackouts, blah, 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 blah. But PG&E, the power company's 2030, climate strategy has a goal for its own power grid to, quote, quickly and safely power at least 3 million EVs or at about 12,000 gigawatts of electric-related load. 2 million of those EVs are being sought for vehicle grid integration applications, allowing the EVs to be a cornerstone of both electric reliability and climate resilience for customers broadly. In other words, your car, think about how they're going to spin that. I can see the commercial now. You're driving your little electric car, a little tiny Peugeot-looking car. You're driving. You're so proud. You're looking around. Everybody's waving at you. It's clean air. It's going to be a beautiful commercial. And the guy's going to start thinking. He's going to imagine. He's going to say, "Man, I love this leather. I love the feel of it." Well, it won't be leather because that'll be a cow. And I could digress. But he's just like, "This is so nice. This is nice."
Ricky here tonight?
And you know, hey, what's up, Ricky, my man?
What's up,
End Time
Ricky?
Headlines. And I'll be driving my electric car, and I'll be saying to myself, this feels so good. I ain't got no
I'm such
emissions.
a superior human.
I'm saving you. I'm saving you.
If everybody could be like
Look at my
me.
car. Your lights are on because of my car tonight. My car's going to let you watch TV tonight. It's my car.
I'm a
my
hero.
Car. What in the world? Jesus has got to come soon. Because you know what?
I'm sorry. I can't get past the statement you made in that article. We're going to do away with the need for fossil fuels because we're going to have the backward flow of energy from your car.
It's going to save the world.
When you get so smart and wise up and allow us to reverse this energy flow.
Yeah. People's going, when their batteries in their phones start going dead, they go, that's okay. Run out to the car. Plug it into the car. Because the car is the answer to the world.
I'm done. We must move on. I cannot even talk about this for another minute.
Well, we've had fun with that one, but this one's not fun. But this next story is a result of what we're talking about. People are we have more depressed people. We have more people battling anxiety. We have more people battling because they look at this world and they can't imagine how they're going to survive in this world.
So they're checking out.
They're checking out. And this is an alarming statement here, but suicides in the United States reached an all-time high in 2022. The CDC says in 2022, 49,449 people in the United States died by suicide. That's the most suicides in a single year in U.S. history and marks a 2.6% increase over the prior year, according to new figures resulted by the CDC. So I wanted to put this in here to tell you that we're not coming on here and telling you all these stories to depress you. We don't want to depress you, and I know it is depressing.
It is.
But
it's heartbreaking, but people need to know that we've reached these, this is the reality for a lot of people.
Yeah.
They can't deal with one more thing. And some of these folks, here's a more harsh reality, when they're so overcome and overwhelmed with what is happening in their life, when they not only take their own life, but the lives of their family members, because they're so devastated by how's my family going to go on? How am I going to provide for my family? My family going to be okay? So in their mind, they've reconciled that it'd just be better for all of us to go on and check out.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to say it. It's probably part of the plan too, because there are people all around this world. It is not some crazy story that's out there on the rabbit trail. There are people whose agenda is to reduce humanity.
Yeah, reduce the population by whatever means necessary, whether it be crime, whether it be famine, whether it be disease, whether it be, suicide, by all means.
Yep, and there are things in place medically. There are things they're having us to inject in our bodies. There are things that they're having us breathe.
Yes.
There are things they're putting in our food. But then there are also a lot of these things that they're putting in our food and that we are breathing is affecting us, and we don't even know it. It's creating a lot of this because, and then you have the TikToks of the world, the things of the world now that's creating an entire younger generation that is like thousands of percentages more that are confused about their gender from one generation to the next, thousands of percentage increase. They don't know if they're a boy. They don't know if they're a girl. What do we always hear? We always hear, why won't you let these kids have these procedures? Because these kids are going to commit suicide if you don't do that. No, it's reverse engineering. It's reverse psychology. They're creating a confusion of where you don't know who you are in a world that leads to that. Right. And it is an agenda that we're going to cover as long as we can get on here without being kicked off. We're going to try to walk up to the line as far as we can. 2 weeks ago, our show was the first show that I ever lost the appeal. Something we said, I don't know what it is, they would not reverse the flag. And I got a feeling that it's about to get harder and harder because I'm going to talk about in just a minute a program that this, you watch it on Rumble as well tonight, but what YouTube did remove, and I'm calling it out right now. But your thoughts as we move past the mental state of the world right now.
Some people are just, they're done. They can barely function because they're so worried. They're so stressed. I think Gerald Celente said, when people lose everything, they lose it.
Yeah.
You're seeing many people lose it. Even here in the Birmingham metro area, daily, we're hearing of disagreements and arguments turning into gunfights, people being injured and killed. Almost weekly, we're hearing stories of a body, a dead body found in a car, a dead body found in the woods, people murdered for whatever reason. We don't necessarily know. But truly, people are losing hope, and some of them are losing their minds.
One of the most shocking headlines I've seen in a long time came up this week. A 6-year-old boy walked into his kindergarten, shot and killed his teacher because of something that she did that he didn't like, and then went home, and when they asked him, or the police asked him, whatever, why did you do this? He said, I didn't like it, whatever. I shot that bee dead. Now, where do you think he heard those words? I shot that bee dead. Okay? You can figure out what bee is.
Well,
he's 6 years old.
There's probably a plethora of places he could have seen or heard this because it's all around us.
He killed his kindergarten teacher.
It's unbelievable.
And, and it's just, where is the humanity? Where is the understanding of the value of life? And that's why people
value of life.
The value of life.
How can it escalate from a disagreement to somebody's dead in such a short amount of time?
Right. I mean, and that's, and you think about, the whole former return of the god of Moloch, abortion and all this. And it's like when abortion, even though abortion wasn't made illegal, but when nationally, when Roe v. Wade got turned over, it was like some kind of demon of violence just erupted in this nation. If you think about it, it's always been there, and it's been getting worse and worse and worse, but it escalated to another level is the moment that was overturned, because it was almost like that demon of Moloch began to realize, I don't have this free reign to just kill at free reign. So now I've got to just take this spirit and do it. Oh my goodness, we're getting deep stuff tonight. This is heavy stuff, but it's biblical things. It's biblical things, and we're not ashamed to tell you about the Bible. And there's a biblical wah that was the worst there was around there. It's called leprosy. Who thought leprosy was still around? But I'm just going to read this headline, and I'm going to hope this don't get me kicked off, but I'm just reading the headline. So I'm going to say, I'm not even going to comment on it. I'm going to let it read for itself. 49 out of 52 leprosy diagnoses occurred after the wah. There has been an increasing prevalence of leprosy among those receiving the C19 wah. See if I got it out quick. With 49 of the 52 people, 98% transferred to the special leprosy clinic at the Hospital of Tropical Diseases in London in 2021, being referred to after the wah. Undertook 2 case studies of people that matched the definition of an adverse reaction involving leprosy, whereby within 12 weeks of receiving the wah, someone developed the disease despite having no previous diagnosis or connection. One individual developed borderline tuberculoid leprosy a week after the second jab, the other within 2 months of the wah dose. The coronavirus wah has been found to provoke a response from a white blood cell or T cells, which are capable of triggering Mycobacterium leprae, a bacteria that causes leprosy, a disease curiously also known to be on the rise in Florida.
Right.
It goes on to say it's important for clinicians to be aware of the potential leprosy adverse effects associated with the SARS-CoV-2 wah. Any thoughts, or do you want to just let it lay on its own?
Well, this is curious, and this is this is the first I've heard of this at all. We know that some people have claimed vaccine injury. They've claimed some serious, strange, and even very bad side effects from or after they received their wah. So I don't know. This is just so odd to me. I did not see this coming.
Yeah.
This is coming from...
We're not saying it's actually the only reason, But it's pretty curious that 98%.
I can't believe this
in that study.
article sticks their neck out there this far
Yeah.
to lay blame at the door of this. So.
Yeah. Billy said, Alexa, play It's the End of the World as We Know It, and I feel fine.
And I always count on him.
Killing me.
Well,
Well,
he's going to be here all week, folks.
no matter how depressing it gets, everything always changes when old Jimmy.
Thank God!
Oh, Jimmy, there he is.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Uncle Jimmy.
Get on in here.
Uncle Jimmy, the supernatural AI update. That never gets old. It is pure comedy gold. Yes. So, of course, you know what that means. The world is coming to an end, and AI is taking over. And every week we have new evidence that it is actually happening. We are really reading the end of the world. China is now ready to roll out not one, but mass production. And the key words here are two-legged robots with AI brains.
For sure looks like iRobot right there.
It absolutely does. The reason that's the key words is because AI has been experimented on the little dog-looking things and just different kinds of weird
That Boston
mobility.
Dynamic robot dog with onboard
Yeah.
ammunition.
Yeah, exactly. But now, iRobot has actually becoming true, if you've ever seen that movie. All right, so it says, what happened to my screen here? All right, so let me do something real quick. Boom, boom. Oh, hang on. I got it where you can see everything. Okay, what happened here? All right, there we go. We'll just go with that. When Furrier Intelligence unveiled its lanky jet black humanoid robot GR1 at the World Artificial Intelligence Conference in Shanghai in July, it instantly stole the show. While the global technology community has been fixated on artificial intelligence or AI software since the launch of OpenAI's ChatGPT, the Chinese-made GR1, said to be capable of walking on two legs at a speed of 5 kilometers an hour, which I have no idea what that means. I'm American.
Somebody do the conversion.
All of you need to get with us, okay? All of you are wrong. We are right. America's right. All the rest of the world is wrong. While carrying a 50-kilogram load. Sounds like fast, sounds like a lot of weight. Don't know what it means. Maybe our UK folks, our Australian folks, our folks from around the world can quickly tell us what that is.
Someone have mercy on us. Slow, spoiled Americans.
Reminded people of the potential of bipedal robots, which are being pursued by global companies from Tesla to Xiaomi, whatever.
Xiaomi.
For 4 years, a Shanghai-based startup, GR1, was an unlikely triumph. Do you have questions about the biggest topics and trends around the world? Get the answer, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, in an unprecedented attempt by us, we barely had a reference when it came to technology. But now we have fully functional robots. I like the fact that it's been a while. Okay, 5 kilometers is equal to 3 miles. So 3 miles an hour, okay? It's pretty fast for a robot.
Yeah, seems like it.
Yeah, it's pretty fast. So now, Sandy, we have, I'm going to put this picture back up here while we're talking about it.
So it can carry 110.231 pounds.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Nova.
Thank you, Nova.
Carry 110. See, we have the smartest family in the world.
Best.
They pick us up in our Alabama ignorance. So, yeah. So for the record, y'all need to, thank you for converting all that, but you need to come our way. But look at this. This is our robot. The AI brains are being put into the two-legged robots.
Of course.
But Sandy, it don't end there. Got another thumbs down, making fun of us. AI can now steal your passwords by listening to your keystrokes with a 95% accuracy. Listen. Can you hear that? It's saying that AI, Let's read this. A new study published by Cornell University demonstrated that artificial intelligence can nab computer passwords with very high accuracy from being able to listen to the keystrokes on the keyboard. The Times was the first to bring this to the mainstream, but the study explains how researchers programmed an AI software to listen to the keystrokes of a MacBook Pro keys over a phone and a Zoom call as someone typed on the keyboard. The AI quickly learned the sound of each key and was able to begin to pinpoint what the password was. Quote, when trained on keystrokes recorded by a nearby phone, the classifier achieved an accuracy of 95%, the highest accuracy seen without the use of a language model. The AI was 93% accurate when eavesdropping through Zoom. Look how it does it. Each key has a unique audio or voice that can be fingerprinted to infer what is being pressed.
Yeah.
I can only see the accuracy of such models and such attacks increasing, this person says.
Can I just add a question right there to that point? Was that by design too?
Well, there you go. I mean, I'm not going to say.
Did we know way back when that we wanted to be able to track every keystroke?
Well, already when you agree to the terms of an app, a lot of the apps, you don't even know it, but you're agreeing for them to trace your key strokes so that they know what you're typing. There's a lot of these apps that already know what you're typing on your keyboard on your phone.
But I mean, way back many years ago.
It's very possible. I'm open to anything now.
It's just.
Uncle Jimmy, that's what he told me.
Is there more in this article that we need to touch on?
Let's
my
finish.
Mind is a flurry with ideas.
Yes, it gives you a hint of the tremendous, I want to know what your mind is thinking right now, baby. The tremendous improvement that has happened in the last 5 years in the terms and the accuracy of these models, which somehow elevated the accuracy from 70-ish% to around perfect results. Besides the sound, the visual images about the subtle movement of the shoulder and wrist can also reveal side channel information about the keys being typed on the keyboard, even though the keyboard is not visible from the camera. So what that is saying is that there are parts of your body, like when I'm typing on this keyboard, you can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right. So while I'm typing it, the way my body has to move to find those keys, the AI is already smart enough. If the camera was behind me, it could learn my body movements to know what key I am pressing. Where does this go in the crazy world? Well, you know what's going to happen? They're going to say, well, if AI can read your keystrokes, the only thing it can't read is your biometrics. So to protect that it's really you and not AI, we need your eyes, we need your fingerprint, we need your DNA. But it's all going to be put in the same system that AI is working as well. It's almost like if Jesus don't come back, we're in trouble.
So I have a question for everyone. Does that sound as scary to you all as it does to me? And I also want to say there probably will not be anywhere to run, anywhere to hide. And to you, I will say this. That thing you told me yesterday about the movies,
You want me to go ahead and say
it's still freaking me out.
It's freaking me out too. Let me tell you what happened to me yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay. So depending on when you watch this, our television show that you helped us be a part of, that you helped us record 3 months worth of programs, went live for the first time on the television channel last night. So it was weird for us, surreal for us. We was thinking, geez, we were sitting in our living room watching ourselves on the television show. Well, if you've read our book, you heard our story, you know that the famous words of my wife, I see greatness in you, was a result of me being arrested. Well, spoiler alert if you hadn't read the book, one of the chapters is called The VHS Bandit, because the reason I was arrested was because I did not return 3 VHS tapes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that those 3, and this is what the most embarrassing thing about it all is, they were Christian videos, okay? They were movies that were made in the 70s. And the younger generation ain't gonna have no idea what I'm talking about. But people that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and older, they're going to remember these movies called A Distant Thunder.
A Thief in the Night.
A Thief in the Night.
I don't know what the third one was.
Those were the movies. Okay, those were the movies that I got arrested for because I threw them in my back seat and never took them back. Well, on the show, this is crazy, y'all. On the show, we never mentioned the videos. We never mentioned anything about videos, let alone what the videos were.
The titles.
The
their
titles.
Names.
There was no communication between me and my wife in our living room about the videos.
Of course, our phones were sitting right there somewhere in the room.
But wait a minute. But nothing was ever said. In fact, we've not talked about these movies in years.
Not the titles.
The titles of the movies.
I probably wouldn't have remembered them on demand except for when that popped up on
Okay, so the show is over. Nothing has ever said. I'm talking about for years we've not mentioned the titles of these movies. I get a cup of coffee. Last night, I go on my back porch, sitting thinking about a lot of things. Open up my Facebook, and ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if y'all can see this. It's backwards. But that I screenshotted it. That is the ad that came up. The very first ad that came up on my phone was the videos that were in the floorboard of my car that I was arrested for. Not a single mention. I've never seen that ad since I've been on Facebook. I didn't even know you could still buy them.
Are two of those titles in that one ad that we talked about?
They're all in there. They're all four of them.
Okay.
They're in that. There's A Thief in the Night. There's A Distant Thunder.
This is crazy beyond.
I was like, what?
I
They
mean,
are reading my mind. And I wasn't even thinking about it. Did they search my criminal record? Did the government scan me and search my criminal record?
if they
and pop
even
that up on my Facebook?
if they even looked into your criminal record, how likely is it that the titles of those movies would be in that record? It's possible, but this is just a step beyond the crazy that we usually talk about because it's a personal thing to us.
Exactly. We racked our brains, and both of us knew beyond a shadow of a doubt, no one to us or by us had ever mentioned those movies, quite frankly, since we've been on Facebook. And certainly not last night and any time in the near future. And within minutes of that show.
Yes.
Within minutes, I had this ad.
I mean,
what?
This is not a circumstantial thing. This first episode of the television show ended, and moments later, you get that ad. I don't even have words.
I don't either.
It's just,
you know what? It could also
next level crazy.
It's next level crazy. But I'm gonna tell you something else. What we keep forgetting is we keep talking about technology. We forget that there's demonic forces working with this technology.
True.
Do you know what I thought about this morning when I was thinking about it? I thought,
I'm scared to ask.
Was this a crazy last-ditch attempt of the enemy to mock me? To bring me back in my own mind of the man I was that night? Because I cannot figure out how in the world this happened, but it happened. And
why would you get an ad on your phone for movies from the 70s?
That I got arrested for in 1988? That's the world we live in. Is that crazy? If that's crazy, y'all hit me up in the live chat or in the comment and tell me if you've ever heard of anything like that happening in your life. I'm telling you right now. See, somebody says AI is giving me predictive programming in my brain. But this is the last one on AI tonight, I believe. It may not be the last one, but you think GPT-4? This is the one we're on right now. ChatGPT-4 is what's changing the world. ChatGPT-5 is about to come out. OpenAI, the owner of ChatGPT, is deploying right now web crawlers in preparation for GPT-5. Now listen to this. it says OpenAI has introduced a web crawling tool named GPT Bot aimed at bolstering the capabilities of future GPT models. The company, this is the company, OpenAI, also the owner of WorldCoin and the Orb, same company. The company says the data amassed through GPT Bot could potentially enhance model accuracy and expand its capabilities, making a significant step in the evolution of AI-powered language models. Web crawlers, also referred to as web spiders, play a pivotal role in indexing content across the vast expanse of the internet. Renowned search engines such as Google and Bing rely on these bots to populate their search results with relevant web pages. So OpenAI's GPT bot will have a distinct purpose to gather publicly available data while carefully sidestepping sources that involve paywalls, personal data collection, and content that contravenes OpenAI's policies. So what this means, Sandy, is the bot, the web crawler. I don't know if you know what a web crawler is. They've been around almost since the beginning of the internet.
Well, spiders, we've heard of those for years.
That's what they are. They're spiders. And they're bots that are just programmed to grab data, watch people surfing, look at their Google search results, and just process it all in one big ball and start trying to use it. Well, now you have the world's smartest AI that's ever been given to humans to use, ChatGPT 4.
Working towards 5, obviously.
And this is 5. 5, remember the one that left Google, that was part of Bard's creation. One of the things he said was, we are 1 or 2 steps away in ChatGPT from the beginnings of AI becoming sentient, becoming not artificial intelligence. I forgot that word they use. I wish I could remember it right now. It's beyond artificial intelligence. It's artificial, I forgot, I'll think of the word, but it means humanity. It means processing. It means not just processing data. It means becoming almost like a human. And that's where this is going. And I think it's only appropriate that if we want to really get deep, go back and watch the video that I did called the Demon Portal video about Switzerland and about CERN. That of all places where the God particles trying to be found and all these demonic things that happen in CERN, that the web was created at CERN in the bowels of Switzerland and is now being used with spiders crawling around that web, making room for Terminator.
Wow.
So where do you think all this is headed?
Obviously, total control.
Here's one place it's headed. Thank you, Ricky, if you're still on here. A while ago, he said, I'm out. he said, I just lost all my brain cells. I'm out. I don't know if he's still here. This is on End Time Headlines. Ricky Scaparo. Harvard physicist says humanity will view alien intelligence like God. Harvard professor Avi Loeb predicted that the scientific discovery of alien civilization, one that may potentially be billions of years old, will prompt humanity to unify. He talked to Fox News Digital for a wide-ranging interview that covered billions of years of history and even interstellar fragments from the bottom of the ocean. He says that he's trained at Hebrew University and at the age of 24 said that it was arrogant of us to think that we are alone, that we don't have a neighbor out there, blah, blah, blah. He goes on to say, there are tens of billions of planets in the Milky Way alone and hundreds of billions of galaxies like the Milky Way is observable volume of the universe. Evidence of alien civilization is exactly what Loeb said he may have found at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. We've talked about this in a separate interview when he calculated where it would be. And he begins to say, there's Ricky right there, the man himself. And he basically says that when the disclosure comes out, that the world will worship AI as a god.
Wow. Yep. He is really gaining a name for himself, this Avi Loeb.
Yeah.
Especially, he was already out there, and I'm sure had plenty of articles for people to read. But when he announced the discovery of those spirals from the bottom of the ocean that he obtained by tracking where he thought they would have landed in the ocean, then creating this sled, this magnetic sled, and actually being able to pick them up, he really made a name for himself then.
If you hadn't smashed that like button, do it now. I look at the viewers we got on here versus we got about half of the viewers count has hit the like button. Everybody else is just sort of floating along. You ain't got to do it, but come on. If you stayed here long enough and at least you're laughing at us, okay, whether you agree with us or not, hit that like button and help us get put in front of people that don't even.
We're on a roll tonight. We got three
dislikes. That's
dislikes.
Most dislikes we ever got. We take pride in that because that means we're making the devil mad.
Hate to go hate, right?
Hate to go hate. We ain't worried about it. But the last thing we want to cover tonight is this, and I think it's only appropriate that we cover this. We're very big proponents of Sound of Freedom. This movie has blown Hollywood away. I want to read this to you right here. This is just incredible. The director of the box office hit Sound of Freedom said there is an interest in a potential sequel, which he said would focus on Haiti. In an interview with Variety, Sound of Freedom Alexander Monteverde also blasted the mainstream news media for trying to smear the anti-child trafficking drama in his creative team. He spoke on a potential sequel of the movie, which has now surpassed, this is mind-boggling, Indiana Jones and Mission Impossible.
What?
At the box office.
This is amazing.
It is amazing.
Awesome.
It has now made more money than Indiana Jones and Mission Possible.
Great.
Incredible. And it says there's a kind of interest in explore Haiti and what's happening in Haiti because we've heard for years Haiti is one of the most horrible human trafficking places in the world. It says that the original Haiti was a big part of team's work. He says, I was very tempted to do Haiti while on this film, but I wanted to do an origin story. It was just too much material, and it ended where I ended. And then he goes on to say, he says, I was just sick. I was like, this is all wrong, talking about how they were tying it to QAnon conspiracy theorists. He said, it was so heartbreaking when I saw all the polemic and all the controversy going on, the conspiracy theories. But I want to say one thing before we get ready to show you one last thing. So don't leave yet. I want to show you one last thing, and then we're going to give you something very exciting. But and like I say, I watch a lot of shows that on YouTube that give me information that I don't necessarily endorse, that I don't endorse their lifestyle, certainly don't endorse their language, because they'll drop some F-bombs and stuff, and I try to just mute that as quick as I can or move on. I don't want to hear that mess. But a lot of times you got to shuffle through some things to get information. And there's this show that some of you are probably familiar with. He's a former military veteran, war veteran, Sean Ryan. His show is huge, man. He just sits in the chair, got a little light sitting on the floor, and he interviews most of the time military people, or he'll have different people on there that deal with difficult things. Well, one of his biggest, most viewed ever was when he interviewed Jim Caviezel about the Sound of Freedom. And I want y'all to know, and I don't know if YouTube's algorithm is going to get mad at me for saying this. I'm going to try to walk lightly. But he made a short that came out today that I saw, and it's a little short. And he said, I want you to know that the only video that's ever been removed from my channel just got removed. And he said, I appealed it, and they did a manual review, not just a computer review. They did a manual review. And he showed the screen and said, the manual review still rejected it, and it has been removed, and you will not be able to find it. And do you know what that show was? Of course. It was the show with Jim Caviezel. And he said, all we talked about on that show was two things: faith in Jesus Christ and human trafficking of children. Yep. And he said, you've got to ask yourself, why was that video removed? Now, this might be the last video I ever have on YouTube. I may just be exclusively on Rumble after tonight. I hope not. But I needed to point that out because there is the way Hollywood came against this movie.
Right.
Was unlike anything I've ever seen.
The hits keep coming. 5 years to make it to the theater.
Yeah.
All the people who wanted to come out against it after it was released. And now people having Jim Caviezel on their show as a guest, or possibly even wanting to talk about the movie and the events are being punished or being censored. It's
unbelievable.
And this movie beats 2 blockbusters despite. It's amazing.
And I watched. I read a whole article about Barbie and Oppenheimer, and about how they blew up and all that opening weekend. And think about this. In this article, it was from Variety magazine. It talked about the number 1 movie, which was Barbie. It talked about the number 2 movie, which was Oppenheimer, and it talked about the number 4 movie, which was Mission Impossible. It talked about the number 5 movie, which was some kind of Open Door or something like that movie. It talked about the top 6 movies, and in the entire article, there was no mention of the number 3 movie. Not even one mention. It was like number 3 didn't even exist. And guess which one it was? I mean, tell me you're something without telling me you're something. Tell me you're a part of something without telling me you're a part of something.
Right.
Okay?
Delane just said he just got his hardcover of I See Greatness of You.
What? I got to put that up here.
His hardcover copy.
The hardcover copy of I See Greatness in You has just started shipping. If you have not got that, go to LarryRagland.com and get it. So, Sandy, what a show, what a show, what a show. We're over 2 hours already again. Time flies. We've had a great group of people on here. We want to say thank you, and we want to remind you we'll be here tomorrow night with Ron Carpenter at 7 p.m. It's a powerful interview. Until next time, we want to remind you, we ain't woke, but we are certainly awake.
With our Wide Awake coffee, too.
Yep. Still waiting to hear back from the company. Get in touch. Tell them to call us. We can help them. Bye-bye.
Thank you, YouTube and Rumble. We love you.